Aloha and good morning. My name is Juergen Steinmetz, and I'm joining you from Livestream.travel and eTurbo News in Honolulu. With me, as always, is Dr. Peter Tarlow in Texas. Usually we start with the weather. It's quite early here right now in Honolulu, and I know it's midday there, and we're going to have some guests from Europe where it's already evening. So we can actually ask them how the weather was all day. Here, I'm just looking out, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and I don't know how things are in Texas, Peter.
It's a beautiful day here in Texas. Sunny, hot, humid, the way most Texans like it. So it's it'll be somewhat cooler today. It'll probably only be 37 or 38 degrees Celsius, which is not as like 42, 43. But it's good walking weather. 37, 38 degrees is when people like to walk. So if you are using the Celsius, in Fahrenheit, if you're listening, that's about 96, 97 degrees Fahrenheit.
And well, it's quite a bit hotter because I'm looking at weather reports. I saw this morning in Phoenix and in Palm Springs, temperature up to 115, even hitting close to 120 today. So it's really. But anyways, Peter, you have been up a little bit longer than I have today, so you know the news update. So what's new today?
Yeah, well, many of the European countries are starting to open up, and that's a really good sign for tourism. Of course, I just got a report when you called me before. I was speaking to Georgia in Russia, not Georgia, the state in the United States, but Georgia, the independent country in Georgia. And they're having quite a hard time with Putin, who has really almost forbid Russian tourists to come to Georgia, and that's a big part of their tourism. A lot of Russian tourists were flying to Istanbul and then back to Georgia, but now Putin has stopped that also. So those are some real issues that are taking place. Of course, also the Russian pipeline coming into Europe may make Europe very much dependent on Russia, and that could have another whole, not directly tourism impact, but indirect tourism impact. We are seeing, though, issues, of course, around much of the world. There are issues of violence which are taking place. Latin America is having problems. Colombia, Mexico, unfortunately, always seems to have problems. Much of Central America, and Venezuela. So those are all countries that are unfortunately dealing with the scourge of violence. We've had some also in the United States, and through beginnings in Asia and in the Middle East. So again, that's something that we're going to have to face through. On the other hand, there are lots of good ideas that are coming back, and I think that would be kind of a lead-in for what we're talking today. A big debate that's going on in tourism is how do we personalize the visitor experience? And how do we make it so that you're just not a number? And when you go to some of the large hotels, and some of them do quite a good job. I don't want to put down any hotel, but you're just, your room 536, there's 7,000 people staying in that hotel. And it's hard to see that as a special individualized experience. And one of the things we're seeing after COVID is a real desire of people to want to get back to their individuality. And so I think today's program is going to be a really interesting program because our two speakers are going to talk about some new ideas they have in hoteling, in hotellery, I guess we'd call it. And that's going to change the way maybe business is going to be done for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Veerle, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If not, you can yell at me. And this is going to be a little bit Nikolaj. Hope I got that. Nikolaj. So I'm going to pass the baton over to one of you guys and let you tell us about your new whole concept of tourism and hoteling, so I don't destroy your names any more than I did.
Let me just add to it real quick how it came that we invited Veerle from Holland and Nikolaj from Denmark to join us. This was really a few weeks ago when the world was quite a bit more locked up, and many destinations were looking for long-term stays. in hotels, because hotels were, for the most part, quite empty. And of course, what is better than having a business traveler enjoy a beautiful scenery and enjoy a different city and work from a hotel room? Because like in our job, for example, what I do, I can work from a hotel room anywhere in the world as long as I have internet. So I thought it's such an inspiring idea. And we had this also during the lockdown here in Hawaii, where hotels were looking for long-term guests. And I think from what I understand, the concept Veerle and Nikolaj are introducing is quite an interesting concept. Now, with the tourism industry slowly opening, it'd be interesting to know how they see the future of this type of concept. And they're both in parts of the world where tourism is important, but also business travel is important. So without further ado, let's give the microphone.
Yes, let's pass the microphone over to our guests and let them speak for themselves rather than we speak for them.
Absolutely. You go ahead.
Welcome to Zoku, the end of the hotel room.
Zoku is Japanese for family, tribe, or clan. It's basically a hybrid between a home and an office. It's also suitable for long stays. It has hotel services and the social buzz of a thriving neighborhood.
We focus on the global nomad. Think of people like entrepreneurs, self-employed professionals, project teams, consultants, scale-ups, tech people, and creatives.
The social spaces are at the heart of Zoku. They're basically open plan spaces that are designed to meet people easily. We have a lovely open plan bar. There's a kitchen where the chef cooks in front of you, and there's a very relaxed living room. If you want to work, not in your loft, but somewhere with people around you, there's communal working spaces, and there's tailor-made retail. The current segment of extended stay is quite traditional. It's basically a double-sized hotel room with a microwave in it, and we really decided to recreate the modern-day apartment hotel. The Zoku Loft is your own space. It's a space where you find everything you need to live comfortably and work efficiently. Instead of the bed, the kitchen table is the paramount center of your space. And it's also very personalizable. So if you want to change the art on the walls, for example, you just grab it from the hallway and switch it out. The crowd has played a very important role in the creation of Zoku, and it's been very near to our hearts to do a lot of crowdsourcing. We've had 150 interviews where we started with a white sheet of paper, and we really kind of tried to get their needs from our target audience, and we've worked with them throughout the process. Zoku is located in the center of Amsterdam, in the eastern part of the Canal District. We have 133 rooms, and our prices could start for a short stay around 150 euros a night, and we go down as the longer you stay. We really believe the longer you stay, the more you get out of it. Our objective is to open at least 50 new Zokus within the next 10 years around the world. And once again, we look forward to working together with the crowd to find these new global locations. We're excited to see you soon at Zoku.
Thanks for the great introduction, guys. And you did not butcher our names at all, so.
Oh, good. I was a little worried about that. My Dutch is a little weak.
Oh, no, it's great. It's great. Yeah, maybe I start with a little introduction about Zoku, and then I pass the baton to Nick, who can talk more about our recent opening in Zoku Copenhagen. Zoku started in 2016 in Amsterdam. And before that, we did 7 years of research. So it's actually a co-created concept entirely built around this target audience of international traveling professionals that have to live and work in a city for a period between 5 days and 3 months, let's say. And also digital nomads, so people who actually can work from anywhere, like I think a bunch of you guys are as well, where you just need good Wi-Fi connection and your laptop, and basically you're operational, right? So this group back in 2010, when we were really working on it, was actually looking for their home base. They weren't really connecting to anything. There were hotels, but in a hotel room, you're staying in a bedroom, and this was not very optimal for people who also want to work or even want to invite colleagues or friends. I still get that awkward moment where you sit on the bed, and then it's kind of a weird situation. So people needed a home.
Yes.
Then Airbnb came, and Airbnb actually offered a home. But another thing they were struggling with was the social integration locally. So we said, we're going to create this home base for people where they also have this local social life. And this home base should be perfect for living, perfect for working. And that's kind of how the idea of Zoku got started. And it's basically a hybrid between a home and an office with hotel services and the social buzz of this thriving neighborhood. We have this thriving community here that we work very hard on. And on the one side, you have your private life at Zoku. You have these lofts that you guys have introduced a little bit as perfect for work as well. And this is really your home. And I think in 99.9% of all hotel rooms, the bed is the most dominant object. And here we really made the kitchen table the most dominant object in the room. And this allows you to do your work during the day, but invite friends or colleagues out during the night and just actually cook them a dinner in your kitchen. It has a nice fluffy bed, it has a great shower and a little living room with a TV, so all in one. But the smart thing about this is that we really thought how to look at space usage. So square meters are scarce, especially in Europe where inner city areas are getting denser and denser, right? So it's very hard to find a good location. And you can only do that if you can really create a room that is smart and condensed. So we looked at what if we build an entire apartment in 24 square meters, which is 300.
It's about 205. You put it here, 240 square feet.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, my American metric system is not very good.
So that's very, very small.
Yeah, very small, very small. And we said, what if we can create this home, but it still feels big? And we did that by using the height of the room, and we kind of stacked these elements like Tetris on top of each other. And we created this very smart apartment where people who said, you know, the only thing I need in my life when I travel abroad, I need space. I need a big apartment. We invited them in, we built a mock-up room. We built 7 in total, actually. And they said, this is great. You know, I can work from here, I can live from here, and it feels spacious. So we had a lot of testing. We did 150 interviews. We tested with over 300 people from the target audience. And then we created this loft. But next to that, a very important part of Zoku is community and social spaces. And this is basically where you would normally have this hotel lobby. That's kind of where, you know, you have a bite and you maybe work a little bit or meet people. We said we want that to be kind of the space in between, where I kind of like to talk about this metaphor where if you go camping and you all put your tent in a little circle, everything happens in that space in between that circle. And this is really what our social spaces are about. It has a restaurant, it has a bar, it has these big green spaces outdoor, and it has really great co-working spaces where you can work during the day or during the night, whatever time zone you're in. You can book a meeting room or an event space. So there's all these different facilities there. And yeah, we started in 2016 in Amsterdam, and then we finally got to open Copenhagen a little bit ago. And I would love to pass the baton over to Nick to talk about that.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you very much for having us on. It's a great opportunity. So you might ask, okay, we opened up in Amsterdam and now we open up in Copenhagen. And Copenhagen is very much known for, or Denmark in general is known for, a country which kind of exports knowledge. There's a lot of consultants and there's a lot of IT companies here. And so in that sense, this whole hybrid and co-living model works really, really well with a city like Copenhagen. We have remote workers coming in, wanting a place to stay for a month, 3 months, and so forth. And they will be spending a lot of time at their office maybe, and then they want to come back to a place which is has the hotel service, but they actually can just wake up in the morning and grab their yogurt that they bought from the supermarket, or they can cook a little home cooked meal instead of going out for dinner. So you really have that possibility of doing both. And you basically turn it on and off as you want, because if you don't want to sit in your apartment and really want to have a bit of life, then you go upstairs to the 5th floor where we have everything going on.
What does everything mean when you say
everything? Everything in the sense of there's the coffee shop, there's the restaurant, there's the bar, there's the event spaces, the co-working area as well. So even if you are a digital nomad and you tend to just want to work in your loft, as we call them, work from there, you can do that. But if you want to interact with people, basically you can just take your laptop upstairs and have a proper work desk that you can actually sit at, instead of sitting on the bed or in a lounge chair or whatever. So you can actually mobilize yourself around and have different settings throughout the day. So we really try to create these different settings within the same building and made sure that we could capture the guests while they're there and cater to them 24/7.
Let me ask you something. I just returned from Europe and I was in Germany and I was intrigued by the hotel I was staying. Now, I know you don't have a hotel in Düsseldorf, but I was staying in a hotel in Düsseldorf, which was right in the center of the old town where everything is going on. Everything is in walking distance. An old courthouse, actually, and they called it the Villen. It's part of the high school. And what I really enjoyed was after traveling for 2 weeks, 1 week in Dubai, 1 week I was in Cologne, that these type of rooms also meant for longer stay, kind of the same concept, had a washing machine. So I was able to wash all my clothes. Do you guys have a washing machine? I'm just curious.
We do, definitely. I mean, so these are fully equipped apartments, first of all. So you have a fully functioning kitchen. You have, utensils and everything for hosting a dinner party for 4 or even more, because we can add extra utensils to that. But in the basement, we do actually have a laundrette. So you can actually just, in your flip-flops, walk out your room, go downstairs and wash your clothes. Even that can be remote controlled by a app, so you can even take care of it from your room straight away, or your apartment. And on top of that, we actually also, because we also acknowledge that people do travel with a lot of luggage, and one of the most irritating parts is that if you do travel abroad with a lot of luggage and you want to stay you need to stay somewhere for, let's say, 2 months, you probably have quite a lot with you. So one thing is that we've made the rooms so you have a lot of storage space, but we have additional storage space that you can have downstairs. So bigger lockers, so you can actually leave your large suitcases there. So you actually feel that you come home to your apartment and not a place where you kind of live out of the suitcase. So we definitely have those facilities as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, I mean, what I liked in the Villen was right in your room, but I'm not trying to compare here. But I really, honestly, this was made the highlight. My trip, you can wash your clothes, but in basement, I guess it's fine. And if you can remote control it, even better. How's the internet speed? For me, that's always a top priority, to have high speed and also possibly have the option of having a dedicated IP, because many times when you put too much load on a hotel IP, it'll cut you off. So like, for instance, in my case, if I upload content during the night, in the morning, I get back and I have to do everything again because it's timed out because of the hotel internet setup. Do you offer options there?
We do have super fast internet. And I think that's one of the things that we are very, very much aware of, because we are targeting digital nomads. And we know that this is something that is very, very needed, and creative sectors that work with huge files or documents and so forth. So we have individual access points in the individual lofts, so which with the high speed, and then we have multiple on the 5th floor, and even more in our co-working facility. So there is abundance of internet speed possibilities.
Yeah, I assume that because of the size, these are really meant for one person.
The rooms?
Yeah.
Well, no, you can easily be 2.
Without killing each other.
Depends. and we do actually also have connecting rooms. So if you are a family, that you can actually have these 2 connecting, and you have abundance of space. But I mean, yes, it is based on living in the inner city in Europe. These are the square meters that we're talking about.
I know
so it's absolutely,
it's very rare in Holland. Space is valued a lot, because
Yeah.
people appreciate this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's funny because it's one of the things that when we were not operational yet in Amsterdam, one of the things people were saying, like, well, 24 square meters or 260 square feet. I just looked it up. It's very tiny. Like, it's not going to be too tiny. But as soon as they're here, like, we've never ever received a single complaint about the loft being too tiny. So it's interesting, and we got a lot of Americans. They really love being at Zoku. I think one thing that would be interesting to mention is, next to being able to have all of the living and the work facilities, like we talked about, laundrette or good internet, all those things, printing, of course, co-working space. the one thing that I think really makes Zoku stand out is that we are the kind of place that has a really thriving community, and we work hard at it. We have
Private,
learned
say it
sorry?
again, private what? What was it?
Thriving community.
Oh, thriving community, okay.
Yeah, we noticed when we did all those interviews way back, we noticed that the two things people started missing out after a while. You know, if you're in a hotel for a few nights, you just need the room service menu and a good TV, and you know you'll entertain yourself. But
Sure.
after a few days, you know, you start
Oh,
getting lonely.
you start missing people.
Yeah, exactly. And you know that moment where you're like, okay, I'll just go to the bar by myself, or I have dinner by myself, and that gets old after a while. So we really focused on creating this social layer around it. So we have a community manager that is really, their sole purpose is to make sure that the people that are staying here so long term, to really get to know them, to connect them to other people that might be interesting for them. We have weekly community dinners where we just gather everybody who's new at Zoku, and they just get a free dinner and they sit down on a long table. And during COVID, this has been, of course, spread out a little bit more, but
Yes,
still we've done it. Yeah, and it's been very important, even during COVID.
Yeah, I would think that's essential. I really
Right?
applaud you for that.
No, let me ask you, when you have two hotels right now, one in Copenhagen, one in Denver. Are you planning to expand from these two hotels to different regions?
We actually have 3.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in Vienna as well.
Vienna. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And are
Yeah.
you planning
Yes.
to expand from these 3 locations?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, so the whole plan is, of course, that we almost create this offline social network at Zoku. So if you're a Zoku fan and you're a digital nomad and you don't want anything else, you can basically live the lifestyle by just going 1 month Zoku Copenhagen, 1 month in Amsterdam, 1 month in Vienna, and then in the future we're planning on expanding to Paris and maybe Brussels and all these bigger European cities. After we've learned enough, we will probably expand to the US as well, and Asia. But it's a slow rollout because we've really learned that creating community and creating something that is very complex and layered and has a lot of different services and also scaling your DNA as a young company, that's not easy. So we want to do it slow and we want to do it right, and then probably we'll have a ramp up soon.
Now,
Yeah.
when you charge, and you're talking about longer stays, do you have certain tiers in your rate structure, or you charge per night, or you charge per week or per month? What options do you have?
We definitely we have different dynamic price structure. So all depending on how long you stay. So we have different tiers based on if you are a 1 night stay or 2 night stay, and then we have short stays and long stays. So absolutely, we do have different tiers. So it is more beneficial, of course, and at a lower daily price point when you stay for a longer time.
You guys, I know we have a lot of travel professionals among our readers and listeners and travel agents, and they always ask, do I get commission? Do they get commission?
Yes, they do.
Okay. That's a good part. So you're part of friends, I think. So, are you part of the GDS systems? Can they book you in the GDS system?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
I do not remember the code on the top of my head. I'm sorry, but yeah, they can find us there.
Wonderful. Well, we have a few people joining us today. So I'm wondering if there's any comments or questions. Do you have any hotels in your areas like this? Do you think it's a good idea? What's your guys' feedback? Anyone who wants to jump in? We don't have that many people online. I guess you can just unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand. And maybe we can start. I'm always going to put her on the spot. Is our Professor Snežana, and Professor Snežana, well, I call her Snow White. She asked me, she said I can call her Snow White. She is actually in charge of our educational forum, educational group for the World Tourism Network, and has been a loyal supporter. She's joining us from Serbia, and we just actually did a report on the vaccination effort. Well, I think Serbia was quite different than the rest of Europe as a non-EU country, showing kind of an example how the world should function, getting people vaccinated. But Professor Snow White, let me ask you, what do you think about these hotel concepts?
It is very good concept. Here in Serbia, we have something similar for nomad tourists. but mostly it's not a concept like apartment with the kitchen, but it is the concept of the big, I can't say houses, they're not the hotels, they're not apartments. They are some kind of a space, big, very big houses with rooms and extra spaces for working and the restaurants and such things. So we have a lot of foreign tourists, nomads who are traveling and staying for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and not only in the big cities like Belgrade, but also in a rural area, which is very popular. So I think that this concept is very, very good. It is excellent, but I'm really interested about the pricing. For example, one night is how many, a week is how many, and a month. I know that if I stay longer, it will be cheaper, but what are the prices in your apartments that you're talking about in your hotels?
Okay, well, let's get this back to Veerle or Nikolaj. I don't know how much they charge, but I'm sure they know.
Well, again, we are working with a dynamic price structure. So in that sense, all depending on the fluctuation of the city and so forth. But I think we are, on average, we are lying around 120, between 100 and 120 euros per night.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
There was a glitch.
it's a good price. It's a good price. Of
Yeah.
course, our prices are lower because it's not the same concept. It's another concept, but your concept is very good. So it's a very good price. Are you when I can book? I mean, can I book to come next week, or I have to, or you are full, so I have to book for next month and such a things?
I wish I could tell you that we were full, but no, we're not. I mean, we are still in COVID times. However, what is really interesting for us is that this is a very new concept in Copenhagen, at least in the manner that we do it, and we are basically outperforming our comp set as it is right now. So even though Copenhagen has a very, or Denmark in general has a very strict, are very strict on travelers coming into the country, we're definitely at a higher occupancy level than our comp set. So that's good. So, but I mean, you would be able to find a loft or an apartment for tomorrow if you wanted to come.
Yeah, because of the situation. But I think when all this passed away, and I think it will be very soon, then I think that I can't find a room. I'm in apartment for tomorrow, but I have to book in advance, of course. I can tell you that in Serbia, as Juergen said, we opened the country completely. Everything is open. Restaurants are working 24/7 outside. Inside, restaurants are working until 1 a.m. Because more than 50% of population is vaccinated. And I can tell you that I feel now very good because it's completely, I mean, we are trying to go back to the normal, but of course, normal is not so close. I think that your concept is very good and you should do it very good. Maybe I'll go to Vienna because EU put Serbia on a green card, so it is open for tourists from Serbia. So maybe I will go to Vienna to see your concept. How does it look like? What is the name of your premises in Vienna?
It's called Zoku Vienna. So Zoku is kind of
Vienna, Zoku Amsterdam, and Zoku Copenhagen. I
Yes.
see. Okay, I'll check.
We look forward
I
to having you.
like this concept very much. And as you said, that internet is very high. It is very important for all these nomads, especially, you know, that in Serbia, we have really very good software engineers and the internet engineers and such a thing. So our youngsters are traveling, like to travel around the world. So maybe you can check with Serbia to promote your Zoka concept because Vienna is very close and people like to come to Copenhagen as well and to Amsterdam, of course. But you can think to promote your concept here in Serbia because I think that the people will be interested, the youngsters, of course.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting concept, what could generate a whole franchise idea. And I think that's where Mohammed Kader is coming in. I'm going to spotlight him. He's you must be joining us from the UAE, or I don't know where you're joining us from, Mohammed. You had a question.
Good evening from the UAE. Correct. It's around 10:30 p.m. here. Now I'm in Ras Al Khaimah, the top northern part of the country. A very interesting concept. Before the pandemic, I used to travel to Amsterdam probably 2 or 3 times a year. Vienna the same, probably a few times, same with Copenhagen. Never had the chance to visit your premises or these hotels, I could say. I like the concept very much, and I think there's a huge potential for expansion in different parts and regions of the world. I mean, the identity and the uniqueness somehow of some of the products they offer, I think is a key selling or unique selling point. So I think these are very cool concept, very nice. And my question about the expansion, I mean, I want to understand the expansion outside European Union. Do they have plan? Do you have a franchise program? Do you have a JV, a joint venture project, any kind of that? Because in some regions and some countries, basically, they will welcome this kind of projects or concept, and probably this could be an idea. So just I wanted to your replies on that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a nice question, and I think for us the expansion, what our plans are currently is EU focused. That doesn't say that we're not open to any, if someone wants to invest in a Zoku outside of the EU, we are very open to it. It's for us right now because we're still young. We have 3 locations and we are growing kind of steadily. EU we still know and it's close by. So when we open something, we can still come with the people from the support office around. So that's kind of why we kept it close in that sense. But the idea is always being global expansion. And in terms of franchising, this is a model that we are thinking of towards the future. Right now, what is the focus for us is how do we scale our DNA and our culture? Because this is what makes Zoku really unique. And we are learning a lot from already opening these new properties in Copenhagen and Vienna. And, we really know that Australian culture is also about hiring the right people. Nikolaj and his team, they're very much Zoku type of people. We're the special profile for these type of people. So that's how we're kind of experimenting on how to scale our culture. And at the same time, our DNA is very complex, and we're trying to bottle it the next couple of years, and hopefully in the future someday we are going to be ready for franchising, because this sounds like the best option when you want to scale bigger.
Now, let me jump in there in regards to the franchising. You have a concept, but before that, what is your average age? Do you attract more young people? You attract people who are in the prime of their business life, or retired people? Who's usually staying at your hotels?
That's a good question. So in general, we have people staying between ages 25 and 50, and I would say there's a mid-30s. That's kind of the mid-range. So people in their mid-30s, early 40s. Those people are often people that are staying at Zoku, but it's because there are people that are coming for projects, or they're coming for trainings, or they're coming for consultancy things. And these are people that range from junior level management to senior level. So it has a big range for Zoku, but it's mostly the mentality of wanting to go somewhere where you can live and work and where you can actually, meet new people from other interesting industries. So it's this the mentality kind of brings them together.
I would encourage you not to worry about demographics yet, because we're in a very unusual period. I would give this 2 or 3 years and then begin to look at the demographics. I think any demographics you have at the present moment may be false demographics and could actually lead you into, garbage in, garbage out type of data.
Yeah.
So I would hold back and wait till the world really opens up again. Look at what it's like for 2 years after post-COVID. And then I think you'll have a much more accurate picture that will be demographically and statistically much more valid than anything you might have right now. I think these are exceptions to the rule, whatever the rule is, rather than the rule itself. So I'd be careful at this moment.
And I know there's been some response, maybe not directly related to this conversation, but maybe we can open the floor if you have more questions or you have a different subject you just wanted to comment and bring up. I see Ranga is joining us from Indonesia. It's 1:35 in the morning in Jakarta or 2:35 in Bali right now. So it's very late for you, but you had a comment, I think, about Indonesia or question. Do you want to let us know what this was? I don't know if we get Ranga. There he is. Ranga, you wanted to say something? You had a comment?
Okay. Everybody hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Okay. Such as honestly, I would like to say that as Indonesia, I built the travel agencies very young, and then since 2050, I built the travel agency. I faced the obstacle how to connect with the overseas people to come to Indonesia in my concept in ecotourism. And then the ecotourism as a part of ecotourism also have the places to people come in Indonesia with a hotel or with a standardized size of hospitality. And then ecotourism itself also, we have to be local. And then after that, we stay together with people there. And then what is the Zoku exactly concept by the ecotourism? Because I see in Airbnb, I see on mainstream media, they have also like their concept based on the price. But for me, I would like to concern in the concept ecotourism. Beyond the money that we can get for the people who come to Indonesia, I would like to promote. I would like to knowing well about the Indonesia beyond the money. Okay, money is a basic, but not the priority first, because you know that we are Indonesia. We are not modern like you are European, like you are America. No, we are just Asia. I aware that my country is an advanced country, and then my neighborhood is Singapore, Malaysia. They are more modern than us, but actually I have the concept of ecotourism. Is it Zoku support for ecotourism? And then if Zoku support for the ecotourism based on the placing for they stay come to Indonesia, what is the concept exactly? I would like to answer about this. I would like to you answer for my question. And then the part of the ecotourism, we are more people knowing well here. I would like to promote if the Zoku have the ecotourism concept. I'm dealing with this, and I have a passion for this. And then, yeah, you know, my mind is ecotourism, and then you come to Indonesia not for the modern, not for hotel. You come to Zoku with ecotourism for placing stay here.
No, that's a great question. We're going to pass this on to Veerle and Nikolaj, but let me ask you before we do this, what part of Indonesia are you? Where are you located in Indonesia?
I located in Malang, East Java.
In East
just
okay.
East Java, Malang. Yeah, in the middle from Yogyakarta and Bali. So I usually pick my guests from Europe, my guests from America, start from Yogyakarta, and I drop them until Bali. I as a guide, and I as a operator, I as a driver, just, everything I do by myself.
No, that's wonderful. I'm very familiar where you are. I've actually, our publication, for those that don't know this, eTurbo News, was started in Indonesia and was started in 1999 to promote Indonesia. We worked with Pa Adhika, who was the Minister of Tourism in 1999 to 2001, when Indonesia also went through a little bit of a crisis. And we were appointed to promote Indonesia in the United States and in Canada. So at that time, I traveled all over the place, including Jogja, Bali, of course, and Kalimantan, and everywhere. So it's a familiar place. And yes, ecotourism is definitely a big subject, has been a big subject for decades in Indonesia. And the concept of hospitality, of ever smiling, friendly people. I think Zoku, this would be a wonderful project to have Zoku branded hotels in Yogyakarta, or Bali, or perhaps, or Lombok, or even Jakarta. And I'm just wondering, yeah, Veerle, I don't know, you must be familiar with Indonesia as a former Dutch colony, like in many, many years ago. There's a big tie between Holland and Indonesia. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I love Indonesia. Let me start with that. So it's actually interesting what you say about ecotourism, because one of the ideas that we played with over the last years was, why don't we do a Zoku in nature? And then the first thing comes to mind, like, oh, maybe we should go somewhere like Indonesia. So it's interesting that you asked this question. And I think, yeah, I think in the future, a Zoku in a nature place would really work, because the rise of the workation is coming. So people are saying, okay, I'm going to take a vacation, for example, to Indonesia, and then I'm going to work through that vacation. And then I'm going to add, at the end, I'm going to add some extra days to just relax. And maybe in between I relax a little bit and, visit some villages and do some local culture stuff and really enjoy the country that I'm in. And that could be ecotourism for sure. And then you can combine it with the people that are actually, they also want to get some work done while they're in a nice place. I mean, people get more productive when they're actually in a place that feels, amazing to them. And it's something that inspires them, for us Dutch people, we love going to Bali, for example, to really go on a holiday and get inspired by the people there. And I think, like Juergen said very well, I think the Indonesian people are known for the hospitality, and I think it would fit very well. Yeah.
And just to add on to that, I think, sustainability is a very, very big thing within Zoku. And I mean, we really try to think a lot about our footprint, and that's why I think ecotourism in general just resonates really well with what we do already. So trying to extend it to the nature would be even better. So going from a concrete jungle to a actual jungle will be cool.
No, well,
let's be careful. Expand carefully.
Yeah, it looks like Zoku is not only a concept of a hotel, it could be a whole movement for our industry. And now is the time with COVID and everyone getting out of, not hopefully many more destinations getting out of the COVID situation very soon, to introduce these type of new concepts. So congratulations for putting this together. Let me ask if there's anyone else has any questions or comments, please let us know now. And if not, we can probably come to the end of it, and we're going to give Veerle and Nikolaj. And
I would like to say something more.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, I really didn't know what to expect when I read Zoku. It was completely unfamiliar word for me. How did you gave that name, Zoku? How did you come to call it Zoku? What does it mean? Does it mean something or nothing?
It does. Yeah, I can really imagine that you have that question.
Look, I know that it is going to mean many things.
Yes,
I'm sure. But now, how did you come to name it Zoku?
That's a good question. A lot of people ask us that, so it's definitely something we hear more often. So Zoku is actually a Japanese term for family, tribe, or clan. And in the 70s in Japan, this was actually a cultural phenomenon where people with the same lifestyle would come together in a tribe, and they would live together as well. So this was kind of a metaphor that we like to use. For a concept, and it was actually what's actually really fitting. So I was stuck with it.
That's really very interesting. I was thinking about here in Serbia about our hotels and your concept. For example, in Serbia we have a very fast network, 4G, 5G, a very fast network. All our hotels must have Wi-Fi. Even rural houses who want to be in tourism, they must have internet connection. And because of that, and the people in Serbia, they're very familiar with internet and everything else, especially youngsters, but even old generation. So I'm thinking about our hotels, for example, they all have very fast network, and they have many guests. They used to have, and I hope we will have many guests who are staying not for a night or a week or 1 week, but for a month or 2 months. So it is, how can I say, it's not like your concept, but I know that they're staying for a longer period because prices are very good, and the surrounding is very good and such a thing. So I think that your Zoku is very interesting, not only for countries of European Union, but for all other countries. And you have to be very, how can I say, you have to promote your products, because I think it is very interesting for people. Because I hope that this COVID-19 will leave us and people will travel. For example, Serbian people, when frontiers were open, they all went to for a holiday to Turkey, to Greece, to Egypt, to Albania, to Montenegro, to Croatia. And now when the European Union is allow us to travel, I know that a lot of Serbian people will travel to the countries where they can enter. So it is very important for you to promote your Zoku concept. I like it very much, really.
Thank you, Professor Snevana. It's it's definitely an interesting concept. It's a new trend, and it looks like the industry is adopting it. Everyone here liked it, so maybe a winner. Now we're pretty much at the end of our regular time. So if there's anyone else who wanted to add something to it, please do now. Otherwise, I think what we can do is give Veerle and Nikolaj the last word, and then Peter can maybe close it. From my end, I wanted to say thank you, Veerle and Nikolaj, for being our guests today. Hopefully, we hear from you again. Keep us posted. And for those of you that are not yet a member for the World Tourism Network, please consider becoming a member. You can do this for free till the end of the year. Simply use the invitation code for eTurbo News to put eTN 2021 when you go to the World Tourism Network website, wtn.travel. Join us, and you will be joining tourism professionals both from the public and private sector in 127 countries now. And we're building our own community. And Zoku, I think, might fit quite well. Now, before we give the microphone back to Veerle, Nikolaj, and then to Peter, there is one more raising hand I probably overlooked, and it's Mursal Abdi. I'm sorry, I probably pronounced this wrong, but let us know where you're from.
Yeah.
question is. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. It's Engineer Mursal, and I'm just saying good evening from Somalia, East
evening.
Africa, I think.
So Somalia, you really have not many people know about Somalia. I think one of these days we have to have a session on Somalia and tourism.
Yeah.
Invite you. Maybe you can drop me an email and I'll
Yeah.
set up.
Yeah,
Thank you. Be
Somalia,
safe.
it have been, I think, a long journey. After the collapse of the government last 30 years, we don't have much in tourism in this business, but we was just dealing with the travel, not tourism. So, but these days, starting from 2020, when we decided to look after the tourism, we have also some problems with the security issues. Also, you guys, I think you already know, but we are trying to do something better, inshallah, in the future. But there is some cities now we can give the for tourism, like we have some regions that more safe than the capital, and I'm in the capital Mogadishu now, but we are trying to increase our tourism upcoming years, inshallah.
No, and it's definitely something we like to follow. You actually need Peter. Peter is the absolute expert in the world when it comes to tourism, rebuilding destinations. Without I wanted to advertise this, but drop me an email and maybe we can talk a little bit more, get you on a session and introduce you to Peter and see what we can, how we can assist Somalia for you guys to come back. I know I've never been to Somalia. I've been to Djibouti, what is not too far.
Yeah.
Far is from Somalia, and you're all quite rich because they're all Mercedes. and interesting concept. But thank you very much. For
well, welcome. Welcome. I was just trying to say, in Somalia we have everything except the security. We have everything for tourism. We have, largest sea, in the beach in East Africa. We have mountains, we have rivers, we have a very good land. Even the climate, our weather is very good, 30, 29, 30, 35 maximum. But we have security issues these days.
So let's help. Maybe we can help you with the security issues. Peter can, and yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give the microphone maybe to Nikolaj first, then Veerle, and close with Peter. Go ahead, Nikolaj.
Well, I think what is really interesting and is also to kind of hear these questions from our fellow colleagues and industry people around the world, and really feeling that what we're doing here with Zoku is something that is good for the industry and good for the guests, because we're not taking things away from the original tourism that has always been. And I believe this was also one of the things that was raised, that when everything comes back to normal, then I still feel that there's room for hybrid concepts like ours, and it's this a bit for everybody in that sense. And we feel that we are really telling a story. So we're really happy about that. But thank you very much for having me on, or us in general, and wanting to listen about Zoku.
Thank you very much, Veerle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also really want to thank you guys for having us and for being interested and asking these amazing questions. For us, it's always a great learning experience as well, being on these things. So thank you for that. And yeah, I hope that we can all rest assured that the world of tourism is coming back to the liveliness that we all wanted to see in it. So let's hope COVID will be nothing but a distant memory soon, and we can all welcome you at Zoku, one of the Zoku soon. Thank you.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens. Yes.
That's the last word, as always. Go ahead.
Well, Nikolaj and Veerle, I want to thank both of you for having spent some time with us and with all of our listeners. There's a small group here, but many, many people will hear it as it plays on all the eTN and eTurbo News various outlets around the world. So your impact will be quite big. I really want to congratulate you. I think that one of the key problems of tourism is that often we're in a rut and we don't try new things. And I think the fact that you guys are thinking, you're trying to experiment, you're trying to come up with new ideas, new hybrids, that's really wonderful, and you're to be commended for that. It'll be slightly different in each place. I guess I'm going to leave with just one word of advice. Don't grow too quickly. Because if you study the history of these types of ideas, sometimes everyone kind of pushes you to grow faster than you can, you chew off more than you can, you bite more than you can chew down, than you can swallow, and you end up with a real problem. So learn from your mistakes, grow slowly, build carefully, and then you can expand in a way that will truly be sustainable. And I think if you follow that pattern of thinking, doing your research, not rushing, starting, and I really like what Veerle said, that you're starting close to home and then you'll expand out. That is the correct methodology. And again, remember, all data right now is somewhat suspect, but in 2 or 3 years, God willing, we will be talking about COVID as a unfortunate missing year in the world of tourism, but hopefully our children and grandchildren be studying it as, you know, like the Black Plague in the 16th century, something that was and hopefully will never come back again. But what's good about it is we're getting new ideas and new creativity, and that's to be congratulated. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. And I'm speaking both for my partner, Juergen, and for myself. We really wish you a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening. I like to just say good. You add the whatever afterwards. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you happen to be in the world. Smile, stay well, and be healthy. Bye-bye.
Okay. Aloha. Bye-bye.